thing that's always surprised me when I'm on the lesson tee is when I have somebody throw a ball, how naturally their body moves and how effortlessly their right arm releases. So I want to talk a little bit about the right arm today. That's why I have this glove on my right hand. And I want to use throwing a ball, or what baseball pitchers do, as our example for what to do. So a couple things here just to start, right? This is some internal rotation. This is external rotation of the right arm, right? And everybody knows that we want to get some external rotation as we start our downswing. You hear me talk about it. You hear other people talk about it all the time. But one thing that we're forgetting is how the right arm needs to supinate also, or it's what I call the swivel, okay? Our right arm actually needs to be working this way along with some external rotation. What baseball pitchers do is when they go to cock their right arm to get into a throwing motion, you notice my thumb is pointing somewhere near my face, okay? As they start to change direction, their right arm externally rotates some, but they get this right arm supinating and swiveling all the way back to here. So you see what I'm able to do with my right arm with this swivel motion going backwards, to the point where their thumb is almost pointing down at the ground, or at least way over to the side somewhere in this direction. That allows them to pronate and release even faster. Here's a video of Tim Lincecum. You can see him, San Francisco Giant, great pitcher, World Series champ, and small guy, but created tons of velocity with his throwing arm. They're always working to get into pronation as quick as possible. The quicker that they can get to pronation, it does two things. It speeds up their arm, which speeds up the velocity of the ball, but it also protects them, because when they stay supinated for too long, they start to hurt their elbow. Where we can learn from that in golf is we know we want to get some external rotation as we start down, but that's not the whole story. To fully understand what this right arm is trying to do, we need to get some swivel also. So here's my right arm swiveling and supinating basically to as far back as it can go. That is the exact position. If I lower down into a golf swing, that's exactly where that club would be. So I've got some external rotation here with my right elbow, but I'm also fully swiveled back, just like a pitcher going to throw a pitch, okay? That's going to allow for, same thing in golf, it's going to allow for a very free, natural release through the golf ball. And my right arm going from fully supinated, or it's what they call eccentric loading, into full concentric unloading, right? So it's going from long to short in a very quick time frame. So I've got another swing trainer I want to show you. It's called the Hack Motion Wrist Sensor. Okay, so I've got my Hack Motion Wrist Sensor on, and we were talking mostly about the role of the right arm, going from supinated fully to pronated fully and how that can benefit you. This is going to track and calibrate what the lead arm is doing in that same motion. So you can see here some 3D motion with my arm movement, but also we can see some of these purple numbers that are tracking my lead forearm supination. And that first number, that 52 there that you see, is tracking from position 6, which is here, to position 7, which is impact, and from 7 on through to 8. It's also showing me the speed in degrees per second. What you'll find is people that don't know how to swivel, okay, they don't know how to shallow and swivel with that right arm correctly, they're not going to get the same club head speed, they're not going to get that same snap and that same compression down at the bottom. That would be something that's more like a short game motion, okay? So my speed there was 390 degrees per second. That would be like somebody throwing a ball like this. They never actually got back fully external and full supination of that right arm, so they're not going to have as much speed coming through. So as you start to get some feel, like we talked about from kind of doing some throwing motions yourself, you'll feel how this club, as it comes through, it really helps to get into that position as we come down. Now I can feel it there. My right hand is fully swiveled back, my right elbow's in. Let's see how that changes the speed. So right away, you can see how much those numbers increase. It went up to almost 900 degrees per second. 897 was the speed, but how much more supination is occurring from P6 to P7, P7 to P8, rather than somebody just coming down with the club looking and moving like this. That's like how we would bunt in baseball, We want to get this club to get behind us, to feel some of that supination, and then really let it turn the corner as my body rotates with it. So one more time, we're just doing half swings. Even faster there, now we're 1,044 degrees per second, and you can see how much is going on from here to here. Just like that video we saw of Tim Lincecum, how much forearm rotation is happening through the hit. So that's how you're going to get into positions where you're going to compress the ball better. We don't do it by just trying to pull the handle forward and do things like that. We get it just like these baseball pitchers do. So that was hack motion. Let's go ahead and finish off with the rest. You take your trip to the driving range. Start off by just tossing some balls underhand, right? Ben Hogan was always famous for saying that it's very much like an underhand or sidearm throw, the golf swing. But before you start to throw, feel your right arm and right hand going all the way back into that swiveled position with some external rotation before you start to come through. That's why, ball players are always making sure that their arm is nice and supple before they throw, because they know it needs to go very quickly from here all the way to there. So rehearse that a couple times, because like I said, as soon as we bend over from there, that's exactly what's happening in the golf swing. That swiveling back, that supination of the right arm is going to really get it to snap over as it comes through. So toss a couple balls, 30, 40 yards down the driving range, get a little better sense of what that right arm is doing, and then grab a club, kind of just like I was doing with the hack motion, and start to feel some of those same positions, right? We saw in that hack motion wrist sensor that my right arm is starting to work around and back, but even in the change of direction, it stays back even longer before it actually starts to pronate and come around and through. And that's one of the big keys. Most players are just coming down and it's going like this right as they start from the top. We want to get that dynamic change of direction where I get a little external and then I really feel that swivel. So in the pitching motion, you can see how it'll point the thumb down. It also takes the club head and it starts to put it more down towards the ground rather than up like this. It's down here. So it's a very shallow delivery position. We're coming from the inside. The club is attached to my body, and we're going to come through and hit some great shots. But that swivel is really the key to understanding completely what that right arm is doing. Once you start to get that, this effort release, the extension through the ball, all that's going to start to take place on a more consistent basis. So you've got a better understanding from throwing. You've done a couple rehearsals. You feel some of that swivel as you're coming through. That club head feels like it's down here to me, and then around and into the ball. Let's hit one. Okay, that felt really good. I could feel, just like in the throwing motion, I could feel this pull on the inside of my right arm, and I could feel it really get thrown and flung as I came through. Just a natural unloading once I get the club and the arm in the right position. I hope that helps you understand the right arm more. If you'd like some more information about just how to get your hands in front of the ball, how to compress the ball more, maybe let's pick up a little more consistency, I've got emails that go out all the time to my students that's totally free of charge. They go out on a weekly basis, and I guarantee some things in there that will help your golf game. So I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a great time on the golf course.